Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning for another installment in the Bruce Trail Conservancy's winter webinar series. We will be starting in just a few moments. Before we begin, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping notes. First off, my name is Ryan Mikoloff, and I am the member engagement coordinator with the Bruce Trail Conservancy. And just want to thank you for all being here today and for being supporters of the Bruce Trail Conservancy. So for today's webinar, it'll be about 45 minutes long, and we'll have a Q&A period at the end. At the end of the presentation during the Q&A, you will be able to ask questions through the Q&A feature or by raising your hand to be unmuted. Today's webinar will be recorded and shared by email once it's been posted to the Bruce Trail Conservancy's YouTube channel. And lastly, if you have any technical issues during the webinar, please contact me by my email at ryan.mikoloff@brucetrail.org. My email will also be available in the chat in a moment. So for today's presentation, we are joined by Chris Akiwenzie from the Bagida'waad Alliance. The Bagida'waad Alliance is a grassroots nonprofit organization led by Chippewas of Nawash fishing families. They are committed to climate research on the waters of Lake Huron in Georgian Bay and support youth education initiatives to learn from elders. Their work includes both water and land stewardship. The Aki-Guardians of the Bagida'waad Alliance are youth leaders who help to protect the land through learning and stewardship projects. In 2024, the Bagida'waad Alliance Aki-Guardians embarked on an end-to-end of a portion of the Bruce Trail that exists within the Saugeen Ojibway Nation territory. Their hike began near Hockley Valley and finished in Tobermory by the end of fall. For 6 days each month, the Aki-Guardians hiked along the trail, exploring the land and learning about the species that call it home. And with that, I will pass it over to Chris. Chris, take it away.
Yes. Hello and good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's out enjoying the snow or at least digging themselves out right right now with all the nice snowfall we got. So again, my name is Christopher Akiwenzie. I'm the Aki-Guardian youth lead for our program here with the Bagida'waad Alliance. And I just kind of want to give some background to our journey along the Bruce. So back in 2023, we had to come up with some ideas on what we're going to do for the upcoming year. So a few ideas were shot around. One of them was one of our trips to Churchill this year, Algonquin, but I think our biggest one that we've done is the Bruce Trail. For us, that was something new. Most times we hike the Bruce Trail up in our home territory here at Nayash or Chippewas of Nawash, or up the peninsula most times, but we never really we never really did a whole section before until this year, where we did 5 of them in total. So again, this idea came from my little brother, Mingan, who's been part of the Aki-Guardian program for about 4 or 5 years now. And he just wanted to have this idea of being able to hike the trail and sorry, just to hike the trail this year. With that came some challenges, and we worked a lot with the Bruce Trail Conservancy on some of these logistics that we had, like camping, leaving no trace behind as we hike through the trail. So today, what I'm just kind of presenting to you is a story map that we created. The Aki-Guardians spent quite a bit of time working on this. And yeah, we got some maps to show, some photos. I think there might be a little video in there to share as well. But yeah, I'll start getting into this here. So again, I just kind of gave some of that backstory of what kind of happened with the idea, but when it kind of came to fruition here in March, we started planning out the trip as 3-day trips, 3 days, 2 nights, and bi-weekly for most of this year, starting back in, I believe it was the first week of April that we started. So again, we hiked through 5 different sections. One of them was pretty small, as you can kind of see here on our map. Here we have we're just slightly north of Orangeville. We're just at the start of the Hockley Valley Provincial Park, just down here. Some of you might recognize this parking lot and this little tiny trail that goes up to a very unique hill that we first got to experience. Yeah, it was lots of fun going through Hockley Valley for our very first time. Yeah, this was, I forget what day it was that we started. It was April 8th?
April 9th.
April 9th, yeah. So April 9th is when we started. When we got there, it was a beautiful day. It was sunny. I think it was like 12 or 13 degrees out. Amazing. It was very interesting to learn that we overpacked ourselves by quite a bit during our adventure here in Hockley Valley. Again, during this process, we kind of learned to pack lighter as we went along. We did this over 51 days, and we spent a total of 27 days camping or being accommodated by supporters of Bagida'waad or the Aki-Guardians through this. And we also did 24 day trips as we got closer to Nawash and the peninsula, which we'll come back to later on. So yeah, this is just some of the maps that we kind of did. Some of you may recognize Hockley Valley and all the trail systems that run throughout here. Very beautiful. A lot of valleys, a lot of up and down, and yeah, made us question on how heavy we packed ourselves a lot of the time going through here. So I'll just kind of get over here to this map. So this one just kind of shows more of what we did throughout our time. Again, the white little tents are places that we camped overnight on the Bruce Trail. The white flags in this lower section is where we ended the trail that day, and the little hiking guys in orange is where we started. We'll get more into detail of the little sections that we did and kind of how many days we spent and things that were going on then. But during our time on the trail, our Aki-Guardians had a lot of work to do. As part of our program, we did a lot of species lists or inventory lists of species along the trail. And it was quite unique to go through all these different ecosystems, wetlands, rivers, streams, the escarpment, and just see all this different biodiversity essentially. Those who joined us on the trail was myself, my mother, who's here with me right now, my younger brother Mingun, Ethan, and Owen. There are 2 kind of senior Aki-Guardians, and Kelsey joined us as well. And I think that was, yeah, the main team of 6 it was. And then we also had some of our consultants as well, like Dylan Wade and Nick Assad. They come from Guelph, and they would join us up on our trips every couple of weeks. They camped out with us too, or they joined us on day trips as we went along. So just kind of going through here, we'll get into our species list. Oh, scrolled a little too far on that. So again, we did this inventory list or species list of everything that we saw on the trail, and it was actually quite unique. We came across over 500 different species of flora and fauna. We learned quite a bit of different fungus and lichens and things that we don't really pay attention to much. We just kind of walk by, we don't think about it too much. And yeah, being on the Bruce Trail kind of gave us that time to really get in there and learn more about some of these species. So again, in our list, we do this for all of our trails that we do with the Aki-Guardians when we go out and do these surveys. So right here is kind of like a more fine-tuned master list that we did, but most times they're taking it down in like a little notebook that we have, and yeah, putting it on a big piece of chart paper and then to the computer, just so we have those extra copies that people can always go back and find the things they're looking for. But yeah, here you can kind of just see, like, obviously quite a bit of trees. We get into shrubs, forbs, and then yeah, we just kind of yeah, a lot of forbs. Forbs, ferns. Found some interesting liverworts again near deep crevices or near waterfalls or water features along the way. A whole bunch of different types of mosses, lichens, fungus. This year for fungus was a big learning curve for a lot of us. We spent a lot of time trying to learn the different species. Yeah, it was very interesting to go through. And of course, all of our birds that we encountered along the way. Frogs, snakes as well, mammals. Anyways, I think we kind of get the gist of it. And again, the species list is unique as we try and identify species at risk. So for example, I know on this very front page, or right here on the screen, is butternut and black ash. Again, two significant species. That the black ash, for example, the community here uses to make black ash baskets out of, as it's a very flexible material and it's very durable and strong. A few years ago, we had an opportunity to make some black ash baskets with some elders, and yeah, just kind of learn that whole process. And then I think, well, butternut, again, being one of those species at risk due to the fungus that's going around, kind of killing them off. As we kind of walked through the trail, we took little points along the way of where these trees are. And we actually did like a little tree assessment as well. I know I don't have it on here right now, but yeah, just kind of like canopy dieback and things like that, just to see how healthy the tree was. And yeah, we kind of collected a few of those seeds as well, and we put it into our bush line and just kind of wherever, just to see if we can get them started or see if we can get them to repopulate here on the community. But yeah, so this is just some of the different things that we saw along the way. And this is for so those 51 days, there should be 51 different entries for each of these little categories here. So, and we have them again labeled on where we were, mostly where we're camping or like the biggest provincial park that we were going through. So again, Hockley Valley, Monocliffs, Split Rock Narrows, Nature Preserve. Oh, I gotta get out of there. So during week one, we're down in the Caledon Hills area. Um, this was a very unique time. A lot of different things were happening. We were learning about our packs. We were learning about our equipment. Um, a lot of the gear was either the first time we were using it or first time for the youth using it. So it was like a whole education process of how all this works. And we just happened to start when all the bugs were starting at the same time. So that was lots of fun with all the little black flies flying around and then mosquitoes and all. I think the mosquitoes were the worst part of the trail. And I think most of the youth will say that. Especially up on the Collingwood section, up on top of those hills was something interesting. So, yeah. Again, some of you might recognize this area. This photo here, I know it says Caledon Hills, but this was actually down in the Beaver Valley. This was the Stew Hill Side Trail. And this is a little waterfall that we kind of came across, and we took a little break here, observed it and checked it out, and we cooled off for a little bit. During that time, it was during the heat wave, so this was kind of amazing to find and just hang out by. Here we are during this was in between Caledon Hills and the Grey Highlands. This here was actually I believe this was day 5 here that we spent. It was unique. It was in this big open field. We actually had to worry about thunderstorms coming through. Again, we didn't want to stay in the forest. Again, trees acting like big lightning rods. We didn't want to be around them too much. So we were kind of stuck into the fields for some of the early springtime. And yeah, this was just some of the unique trails. This is the Keyhole Side Trail down in this little crevice here. Again, some parts of Hockley. This was, yeah, I think this was going up to the Stute Hills little waterfall there that we went. And then, yeah, some of our crossings we had to go across for the streams and little rivers. So again, over here we just kind of have a map of this little Caledon section. We kind of took a little sneak peek at it on the bigger screen, but this was unique. First night we kind of stayed in the Whitetail Deer Refuge Nature Preserve, I think it was called, and then Split Rock Narrows, and then we ended in Boyne Valley. So yeah, it was unique. Some of our challenges, our youth they had to get over this fear of using the washroom out in the bush. They didn't really have to worry about that too often, as again, most of our trips that we do here with the Aki-Guardians are one-day trips. We just kind of go out, come back, and yeah, they don't have to worry about digging a little hole and yeah, using the washroom and yeah, making sure we take everything back with us. So for some of the Aki-Guardians, it was a learning experience for them or something challenging for them to do for the first little bit. After a while, they kind of got used to using the washroom outdoors, but yeah, again, it's unique. And then, yeah, the bathroom bag, which was an essential part of our kit. We always made sure someone always had that with us when we were out on these trails. And the leave no trace behind. was a big thing that we made sure to practice and always do. It was always surprising and come back with actually how much garbage we would actually come out with. So as we kind of progressed on the trail, we kind of got we started removing more of the garbage or plastic, or we started buying things that were in jar containers rather than bringing in plastic. Made sure that we kept our sites clean. Made sure that the only thing that people would see of us there was the little imprints from our tents. And even then, like a day or two later, those imprints would be gone. So yeah, really trying to practice that no trace, leaving no trace behind. This was that unique little area again, being out in this field. Met a lot of people going through the Hockley Valley section, Mono Cliffs, Boyne Valley, all through there. Yeah. This here was our second night. Again, my little brother, me, and one of our Aki-Guardians, Ethan, here. We had our whole campsite set up. We had a little tarp that we could hide under because we knew there was going to be rain coming in the morning, which actually helped a lot because that next morning was not the nicest to deal with. In the center picture is us on a Bruce Trail property. Again, camping. We decided to stay down in these hills. Again, the winds were blowing. I think it was like 50, 60 in that little area. So we kind of stayed down in this ravine. And yeah, made our camp there. And then, yeah, again, our campsite again before we had all 4 tents set up. During our time through Caledon and the Dufferin Highlands Club, we were actually doing a bear training program with the Aki-Guardians, myself, and then Nick as the instructor, Nick and Dylan as the instructor through our time. So not only did we like hike anywhere from 10 to 15K in a day, after the day was done, we would be going to our textbooks and then going through the Eco Canada bear training program during the evenings, while getting eaten by mosquitoes and all the lovely bugs that we had. So as we kind of continue down, we get to the Dufferin Highlands section. I missed out on one of these weeks. I had to go to Ottawa, but the Aki-Guardians and my mom, and I don't know if Nick and Dylan joined us. I don't think they joined us that time. But they got to go climb up these giant hills, going up to the Blue Mountains. Saw a snapping turtle there. They even got rescued to go to a hotel because there was that severe weather warning that was happening, tornado warning that was happening. So they got to stay in Collingwood for a night. But for most of that trail, we kind of stayed overnight. Again, we have some of these. I'll just kind of bring this in a little bit. So yeah, little camping sites all along here. This here, from what I heard, was a unique camping site as there was a quarry just off of the Bruce Trail here. So they got to hear all the heavy machines and everything going and doing their thing. Again, we have the Double Glen down here. This is one of the spots that we stopped. That was a lot of fun to go through and hike. A lot of up and downs, and especially walking down those ski slopes. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Noisy River. And just going through all these different provincial parks was unique. just these very green, lush areas to be able to walk through. Didn't have to worry about anything. Didn't have to worry about like the quarry, for example, or the roads, road noise, or anything like that. We're able to observe for birds, hear them, um, check out the tracks, see what there was, if there were a lot of deer, a lot of raccoons, and just a lot of little other creatures. Again, squirrels and snakes. My mom loves playing with snakes, so that was a big thing that she did. So this was um, just the Dufferin Highlands section. Again, very unique, a lot of fun to go through. Um, from what I heard, this part though was very interesting, especially with all the uphills and steep inclines. Some of you probably know this section fairly well and know some of these hills. But yeah, this was just kind of a little preview of where we were. So the water was a thing for us a lot of the time. Water was hard to get to in some points. For one, the things was we stayed at the Split Rock Narrows. Um, there was water. We looked at one of the maps that we had. We had about 3 or 4 different maps plus our phones, looking for a little water source where to go. One little spot was someone's property that had a pond in it. So we avoided that, and me and Ethan just kind of went for a walk, and we went to go find this little wetland to go get some water from. And being up on top of Split Rock Narrows, we got to the edge of the escarpment brow, and then we could see this little wetland down at the bottom and going, I don't think we could climb down 100 feet to go get this water for our camp. So during some of the more trickier times, we ended up caching water before we would go on trail. So we would plan out in advance where we were going to be camping that day or that night, and then we would leave water caches by the side of the road for us to pick up and take into the campsite. And then that morning we would take all the bottles back out, leave them there, and then when we finished our 3 days, we would come back, pick up our bottles from those sites, and then sometimes if they were still filled, we'd just use them for the next one and continue on like that. Yeah, so we got to some bigger water systems. Again, pretty river here just on the map. Able to get water from the Beaver River, just all these other places we kind of got to. And yeah, really test out our platypus system that we had. Trying to filter enough water for 6 to 7 people. It was a little bit of a process, especially when we had to walk like 300-400 meters back and forth to go get it. So it kind of became a little chore for someone, or turns for some of the Aki-Guardians to go do this. The other thing, we came across some unique treasures or little tokens along the way. Again, going back to Split Rock Narrows, it had a lot of large crevices. Me and Ethan, it was our second day on trail. We just wanted to go out and adventure and check out things. So we were walking around, and we just we stopped somewhere along the Split Rock at one of the crevices. We kind of hopped around, and Ethan just happened to look behind him, and he saw this little statue hiding out in one of the crevices, and we just thought that was kind of interesting. Someone just leaving these little trinkets behind, these little treasures. So we kind of had fun with him. We did like a little photo shoot with him. Yes. it was unique to come back and show everyone else what we found that day. And just something that you don't expect. We found like a few other these little things. When we went to the Glen up near Owen Sound, we went with Janine. Um, and she had this book that showed us where you could find these little geocaches or these little numbered trinkets, I guess they are, or tags. So we started kind of keeping a lookout for those as we went along. But again, this was just someone who was being, I guess, funny and just kind of left this guy here. So I think he's probably still chilling in Split Rock Narrows. So if anyone ever wants to go look at it, he's just down in one of the big crevices. I wouldn't be able to tell you where he is exactly anymore, but I know he's fairly close to the trail. You just have to look down. So the Blue Mountains, by this time we kind of got used to some of the injuries, some of the things that were happening. My mom likes to really split her knee open and twist her ankles on the smallest pebbles. Ethan sprained his toe, which was unique and interesting on how he did that. And then one of our other Aki-Guardians, Owen, he had bad hips, but we kind of contributed that to his pack being lopsided and too heavy on one side. So that was a big learning curve for him to learn how to readjust his pack and actually get gear to be equal on both sides, make sure nothing was pushing too hard on one side of him. But yeah, some of the other challenges were, again, the rough terrain. Even when it was a flat surface, if there was a little rock, my mom would find it and twist her ankle on it. The winds were something. During that whole spring, early summer, the winds were just constant. So many times telling the youth about holding on to the tents and don't let them blow away, or don't let go of the flies, or they'd be very sad for the night if it rained. And we actually had snow, which was unique. We had snow on the second week we went. Waking up to that, brushing off the tents. It was just a light, wasn't that much snow, it was a little bit that we had to brush off. But then as the morning kind of progressed, it kind of got thicker. Some of you might know that little section just north of Boyne Valley, kind of up here, Kilgore area. Walking on the highway in a bad snowstorm. Thankfully, we had Dylan, one of the mentors for our program and for the youth. And yeah, he was this guy here, dressed in this nice orange pylon suit. So we kind of had him lead the way when that snowstorm was going through and we were on the highway. A lot of people were gracious. Well, a lot of people were nice to actually slow down. Didn't splash us too much with any of the road slush and salt. So that was nice. Yeah, we kind of went through there, got to a valley. This was actually the following day after, or no, this was a few days after the snow, where everything started popping up again. This was a little ravine that we had breakfast down in. We did our dishes here too. We had our camp suds, we had our water pack going up in the tree here. Everyone just kind of huddled around. I think we had oatmeal that day, so that was lots of fun. And this was kind of the first. We had Dylan here. He was really pushing us to do what was it, like 12K that day? After he pushed us to do almost 16K the previous day. So we kind of quit on him after the first little bit. My younger brother, Mingun, um, his legs were in rough condition after walking that long. Again, none of us really prepped beforehand. We weren't really walking, getting ready for this. As most times, winter time is our time to do reports or our maps or things like that. So we weren't really too active yet. So that was kind of grueling, that 15K day, and going up those hills were something else. Especially when you just look up, you can see like a corner halfway up. You go around it, and then you just see more hill, and it's just like, okay, this is not so fun anymore. But we made it. We got to that very high point up over here, just kind of near Creemore. And yeah, just up on that high point, we were able to just kind of look out. You could actually see, I think Borden is somewhere over here as well. So we're able to see the little town. Angus is here too. Um, yeah, it was just unique being up there. Again, this is our Aki-Guardians and some of our mentors. Um, Owen had a pretty rough day. I believe this was day 2 of our 3 days, and he was kind of feeling it after a little bit. Nick here, he was getting some points, some locations, because just behind him was a black walnut. So we were kind of keeping track of like the black walnuts and butternuts, but after a while we kind of stopped with the black walnuts because they were just everywhere and just really started focusing on the butternuts after a while. We have Kelsey. She was the only female Aki-Guardian on the team, and then yeah, so that was unique for her to try and, well, she did better than some of the boys did on some of the trails. I don't think she got hurt at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. Me and Nick going over some plant ID and locations of different things that we were just kind of double checking. Um, yes, we had lots of rain that day. That was actually down in Beaver Valley. We just happened to get past Stu Hilt's side trail there, and it started downpouring. So me and Nick here, we're just kind of, we're already wet. We didn't want to get our jackets out. We are just like, it's too hot anyways. We might as well just enjoy the rain and stuff. So we were just busy doing plant ID and just enjoying our time there. The Aki-Guardians weren't so much. They were trying to get out of the rain, trying to run away. Um, again, yes, some hart's tongue fern as well. And also on the trail, we're taking DBH of some of the trees that we're coming across, some of the bigger ones. So again, this is a big white ash that we came across. We figured we'd give it a go and measure it. I don't remember the exact measurements of these guys, but I know this one was over 85. I believe it goes 85 no, I think it was inches. Anyways, yeah, so we came across this guy, and actually before that we came across a huge maple just crossing the highway near Primrose there in Boyne Valley. There's these hedgerows maples, and one of those maples there was just surprising. We measured it. We took a string. We didn't have a DBH tape with us that day, or during that time. This was another trip after. But we took a string, we went around it, and found out that tree was over 150 inches in circumference. So that was very unique and interesting to see. We were all taking guesses at how old it was and why it was this big. yeah, it was just unique. So if you ever get a chance to go check that tree out, it's just at the just off of that highway there at Primrose where the Bruce Trail crosses over there. Um, I'll come back to it on a map later on, but that was unique. And then our other Aki Guardian, Ethan, very much enjoying cooking up like some canned meat. That was very interesting and very salty to eat that day. Um, yeah, it made our blood pressure skyrocket eating this. But we had some pasta, some other things. Again, being on the Bruce Trail, we didn't have any fires or anything like that, so we brought our little cooking stoves. We had two of them on the go, just to make things quicker and easier. But eventually, as we kind of continued on the trail, we went down to one. So just because we started bringing just pasta and sauce with us, just to make the meals easier, and then we supplemented other things into it with our snacks. So Beaver Valley. Beaver Valley was a very interesting spot, very unique and nice to walk through. Just before we kind of hit the or got to Beaver Valley, it was during that heat wave. So that heat wave was interesting. It was mostly me and Ethan. Ethan, Mingun, and my mom. I think it was the four of us during that time, and Kelsey. Yeah. And yeah, we walked through that 40 plus degree heat wave that was happening. And yeah, it melted us. We were cooked by the end of it. So, and sleeping in that heat, oh my God, like you could not get comfortable. You're like sweating in your sleeping bag. So you take your sleeping bag off, and then you'd just be sweating on your mat, our, oh, what are they called? Uh, the foam mats. Anyways, it was a very unique time and interesting to deal with. Luckily, during that heat wave, the big one that was happening in July, we got to stay in Kimberly at the Rock House by the general store, Stacy and Justin. And yeah, we got to enjoy the AC for um, both of those nights actually, that time. And then the next time we stayed at Jade and Jennifer's, who are again community members of Kimberly there, and they offered up to host us, and we got to stay in their property, camped out. I think my mom and Kelsey got a luxury of staying in a little cabin while the boys had to go out into the tents. But it was fun. It was interesting. Cooked up some good meals. Staying at Stacy's and Justin's at the Rock House there was wonderful. We got to relax and enjoy. I think they had a pool out, so the Aki Guardians ran into the pool. Me, I just kind of hid in the AC. But yeah, Beaver Valley was very unique. Doing this section here, we've done the Hog Falls a few times, and that was just enjoyable and fun to do. Um, yeah, yeah, I know. Got quite a bit of stuff, but again, we just kind of go through Singham. Singham's where we kind of changed out our attack plan. We changed this into doing our day trips, just because for us, it was just easier for us to come back, do some of our work that we needed to do because we spent a lot of time on trail, away from our computers, away from putting our stuff into or logging our stuff. And yeah, we were just having a very interesting time doing that. So again, Singham, this is where we did our big transition throughout. started doing a lot of day trips, a lot longer hikes during these day trips as well, just for the fact of we needed to get back and actually start doing some of our work that we've been kind of leaving off for later. So yeah, there's this. Here's that snowfall in the springtime that we had to kind of go through. This was a lot worse than the photos that we show here, but yeah, they weren't really. Um, it wasn't a fun time because I think a lot of us were getting ready for like a hot spring day, so we had only just a few layers with us. And then we get to the peninsula section, which was lots of fun to go through. Again, we camped up on the national park. We stayed there at Storm Haven and Halfway Log Dump. Um, we had the Aki-Guardians out looking around, checking out the different areas. Owen, our Aki-Guardian here, actually worked up at the national park before, so for him, this was kind of a joy. He had to work at the Cypress Lake area, so for him to adventure around, he was more than enjoying it, not being stuck in one little campsite. And then, yeah, just these big giant cliffs that were just all hanging out all around us, and then the water just right at the bottom. Yeah, and this is kind of where we did a lot of these bigger trips and a lot more walking. Again, we kind of stayed up here, did our camping, and then, yeah, 2 day trips to end it all. So I know we're kind of getting short on time. I thought I could speed through this a little bit more, but this is all good. This is our last day on the trail. We actually met Tamara, um, Tamara Plant, and
Yeah, tomorrow.
yeah, Tamara Plant Wilson, and yeah, at the end there, she took me, Aoife, and Owen out to have lunch as we finished the Bruce Trail that day up in Tobermory, which was very nice. Again, we have our species at risk list, and all of our supporters and funders that helped along the way. I won't be able to list them all right now, but again, like to thank them all and for their support and generosity and everything that they did for us and the Bruce Trail and all of our rides that we had to get. That was a lot of people taking time out to help us with that, get back to our vehicles and get ready for the next day. And yeah, this is just the last little section of the trail with me and Owen walking through and Ethan snapping our photo. But I know I gotta leave some time for questions, so I will pass it back.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris, for sharing your story and for sharing the Aki-Guardian a trip. It definitely is
Yeah.
a planning for going into those hikes for anyone who's completed any type of end-to-end. So at this time, we will open up for the Q&A. We have a few questions already in here, but if anyone wants to, they can use the Q&A feature or they can raise their hands and I will unmute you. So the first 2 questions come from Helen Beamish. She was wondering if the species list that was collected along your trip would be able to be shared.
What the species is? That's up to the Bagida'waad manager.
All right, we'll find an answer and we will let people know when we send out the email to everyone following up from this webinar, then we can do that.
Yeah, we'll come. I know this will be available eventually on the websites. I know we were in talks about doing that, putting the story map on the website. So again, the species list will be available with that. I just don't know where. I know on the Bagida'waad Alliance website it will be there, and I forget where else it will be, but that'll be that'll be something that we can definitely figure out and have an email blast for that later.
Perfect. And we'll make sure to share the Bagida'waad Alliance links in the email following up as well, so people can find that. The next question here, you touched on it briefly, but maybe you want to go a little bit more into some of your meals that you had brought.
The best food to bring on this trip. Near the end there, our bread and butter was the pasta and pesto. Because again, bringing a 500-gram bag of pasta and then a little pesto jar, it made it easy for the end of the day when you didn't want to cook or do anything and just kind of want to relax. At the beginning there, we brought quite a bit of stuff. We thought we were going to have these bigger meals, but it was just like by the time you got done the trail, by the time you finally cooled down from the heat, you're just like, I think little snacks are the best for that. And well, pasta was a big one.
Two questions, not so much or two comments, not so much questions from Courtney. She mentioned one option for filtering water is a life straw. Instead of having to use a filter, the life straw is more of a handheld device that allows you to filter water immediately from your water source. And she also commented that Ron Savage, a trail builder, has published 3 trail hikes for the Sydenham section of the trail. His last one exploring Sydenham, and there are 50 hikes with 38 plaques hidden, and his Secrets of Sydenham has 30 to find. Lots of fun, and you can get a badge if you complete those.
Oh, okay. So that must have been some of the things that we came across as we went for the Singham, and yeah. The life straw. I think we had one person that had a life straw, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We had one life straw for the group, but our big thing was we wanted to be careful of contaminants and where we were collecting the water. Again, going for the springtime, you have farmers doing their thing for their fields, and the water runoff is very interesting sometimes when you can see the algae growing in the creek already and all the other things, all the fruit. Anyways, so for us, it was just that whole thing of concern. We didn't want to get people sick. We didn't want to get the Aki-Guardians sick with some of the water we might have been collecting. We did a lot of, before we collected the water, we would spend a lot of time kind of looking upstream and seeing what was happening upstream, how many farm fields there might have been, or what was going on, if there was like a quarry or something, just because we didn't want to deal with that many contaminants. Or filters are great, but they're not always 100% on some things. But yeah, we had a life straw. I think we even brought some other watering filter methods as well with the iodine.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought iodine with us as well. But that does not taste as good. That's just regular water.
Got Ben McLeod here. I'm going to allow to ask their question.
Hi there. Thanks so much for sharing your adventures, Chris. Nice to meet you. I was curious to know what was next for the Aki-Guardians on their territory. Like, if you're thinking, have you got anything in the works for this next spring, or like if you're envisioning further into the future?
Yeah, so we were working with the Bruce Trail Conservancy quite a bit. Brian, that's up here on the peninsula. We walked with him a few times, and yeah, we're kind of starting up a partnership of working the Bruce Trail Conservancy properties together and working on these stewardship plans, and yeah, just getting involved with that. We're working with a lot of different groups on doing the species and inventory list. Again, the Aki-Guardians have developed an amazing skill set, something that they can take into almost anywhere in the environmental field. So yeah, we still working with the Bruce Trail. Again, we still go hiking all over the Bruce. Maybe not down in the southern sections like Hockley as much, but like Kimberly is a big hot spot for us that we go and walk through just outside of Owen Sound, um, Kemble, things like that. So like we still do a lot. And then for the future, for the Aki-Guardians, we do plan on taking them out on bigger adventures as well. One of the things that were in the talk was to go up to Lake Superior and do the Sleeping Giant Trail sometime. But we have to make sure that they're kind of built up for that and prepared, because it's a lot of up and down and a lot of steep cliffs there. So yeah, that'll be unique. My mom probably will know more about what's going on for the future. But yeah.
Great, thank you, Ron. Or Ben. Ron has a question here. He says, when he hiked his end-to-end, he didn't come across many mammals on the trail due to being too noisy. Did you guys have any fun animal encounters?
Yes, at the Paul Margaret Side Trail, we just got up. So we're down by the stream there. We climbed up that giant hill to the parking lot area, but we just kept walking through because we were trying to make it to the beginning of the Beaver Valley section there. And yeah, we came across, oh, what was that, two deer that ran across the road right in front of us, probably about like 100 feet in front of us. And then later on in the late summer, it was just me and Ethan doing the walk to the Glen. So we were doing that little section from Ben Allen. We did that triangle little area there. So from Ben Allen to the Glen. And yeah, we came across a porcupine. Checked him out for a little while. Got some snippets, some photos of him. Again, what else did we come across? We came across a few different things. But we came across a skunk a few times. Didn't see him, but pretty sure we could smell him. And yeah, just observing a lot of wildlife tracks as well. Like, again, the deer running through the Bruce Trail, they're just everywhere. I think on almost all of our species lists, there's like a whitetail trail or whitetail written down into our books. What else? I don't know what else we came across but yeah, that was fun and unique. We didn't get to see too many things. Foxes were always there, which was nice and unique, and coyotes. You can always hear the coyotes howling away in like the southern section that we did.
A question here from John Ritchie. During and following your hikes, was there an increased feeling of connection to the land and species within your traditional territory? And to kind of tack on that, a question from Mark London: what was the most meaningful and overall learning feeling about this experience?
So yeah, for the Aki-Guardians, for myself, yeah, doing that trail, getting familiar with the land, getting familiar of what was the traditional territory of the San, just kind of helped us feel that connection. Like, this is how it might have looked like. We went through this whole thing of like how it would have been like, how things could have been in different areas with like trees and plants and forbs and animals running through. The Aki-Guardians really connected with doing this. Again, being able to be on the trail, camping on it. Yeah, they just really enjoyed doing it. Yeah, I wish they were here to tell their experiences right now, but they really enjoyed doing it, and even though it was a hard thing to do some days, they still talk about it, and again, it's something they'll always go back to and remember.
Yeah, definitely a lifelong memory, I'm sure. On the Aki-Guardians, would you mind sharing what the quality of the Aki-Guardians?
So the Aki-Guardians, they've done workshops with learning how to work ArcGIS and ArcGIS Pro. Again, with Nick, Dylan, and even Brian from the Bruce Trail on doing plant ID and flora and fauna surveys or the inventory surveys. They've done, you know more about the certifications than I do.
Photography, drone training, communications.
Wilderness first aid.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. You can't even think of them all right now.
Dragonfly, right? Fish workshops, dragonfly and butterfly workshops.
Yeah.
Amphibian surveys.
Amphibian surveys, frog call surveys,
Birding.
birds. Yeah. So just a lot of
Eels.
maybe not like qualification, but in developing their skills in the environmental field. So they did a lot of that work this year. Yeah, but like some of the bigger qualifications again was like that wilderness first aid training was a big one. The ArcGIS was a big one because the EcoCan, the bear program with environmental monitoring and I forget climate change adaptation. So yeah.
Great. And we just have last two questions here for the sake of time. If you have any other questions, you can send them into my email. That's in the chat, and we can get them over to Chris and the other Aki-Guardians. But this last two questions from Mark Glendon here. Have you shared the species lists with the BTC iNaturalist program? And have you thought about starting a local seed garden with the seeds you've collected?
So the species list, again, that's yeah.
It'll be posted to our website eventually.
Yeah, so it'll be posted to the Bagida'waad website, and then I'm pretty sure it'll be distributed out. We're just working on getting some of our story maps done right now as well. For example, like our Algonquin trip, our Churchill trip, we're just working on and finishing up. So as soon as we kind of get all those stories done and figured out and finally to where we want them to be, then those are getting posted online to the websites, and then yeah, and then
Seeds.
oh, the seeds, yes. Actually, you've been working on that.
Yeah, so we're working on a 2 billion tree project right now. It's just the application. And of course, we're not doing 2 billion trees, but we're hoping to apply for some funding. So we're hoping to have the Aki-Guardians go out this year, collect some seeds for trees, and begin growing them out. And hopefully in a year or two, looking for homes for all these different trees that we're able to gather seeds for and begin to grow.
Yeah. And we've done native plant rescues as well, where areas that were proposed for development, we got into and taken out native trees that were eventually just going to get flattened or bulldozed over. And then, yeah, we found them new homes with some of the colleagues that we work with.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for your time today, Chris. We will be sharing this recording with everyone by email in the next few days, so you can keep an eye out for that, as well as links from Bagida'waad Alliance about all the work that they've been up to and continue to do. Thank you, and have a great day, everybody. Bye now.